Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fifth stop of the Great Canadian Farm Tour. My name is Colleen, and I'm a teacher working for Agriculture in the Classroom Canada. I am so excited to be bringing you all to Nova Scotia today, where we will visit a farm and meet our farmer whose name is Patricia and her son Frank. Canadian Agriculture Literacy Month, also known as CALM, is an event that Agriculture in the Classroom Canada and its provincial members host throughout the month of March. This year is the 11th anniversary of CALM, and to celebrate, we are hosting 11 virtual farm tours. I have a few reminders for everyone before we get started on today's tour. First things first, as always, we would love to see where you are joining us from today, so please feel free to put this in the comments. You can also write any questions you have throughout the tour in the chat. We're going to try and answer a few questions throughout the tour, and then we will have a question and answer period at the end. Also, don't forget that all of our farm tours are being recorded, so if you can't watch a tour live, don't worry, you can always watch it on our YouTube page after. Okay, let us see where some of you are joining us from today. Grade 2-3 from Georgetown Elementary, welcome. Hello from Riverwood Academy, grade 3 from Newfoundland. I also want to give a shout out to my cousin's class, Mrs. Steeper in Clinton, Ontario. Thanks for joining. We have Amherst, Nova Scotia, Beaverbank, a grade 3 class, a grade 3-4 class from Templeton Academy. Thank you everyone for joining us from across Canada. Agriculture in the Classroom Canada is excited to be hosting today's tour in partnership with Agriculture in the Classroom Nova Scotia. Today, my co-host is one of my co-workers from Agriculture in the Classroom Canada, our Think Ag project coordinator, Morgan. Welcome, Morgan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be joining you this morning. I've been watching every single farm tour so far, so it's really exciting for me to be on this side of the tour with you today. But before we get started, we would just like to start today by acknowledging that on today's farm, we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This territory is covered by the Treaties of Peace and Friendship, which Mi'kmaq, Melcite, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726.
Thank you, Morgan. There are many different types of farms in Nova Scotia, and today we will be visiting a farm that has a variety of fruits, vegetables, and animals. These types of farms are important because they give their neighbors an opportunity to buy fresh and local food.
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to be able to introduce you today to our farmer, Patricia, and she's from Taproot Farms.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Good morning, Patricia. So Patricia and her husband, Josh, have been producing food for their community for 14 years on Taproot Farms, which was once known as Josh's Farm. Patricia and Josh have 3 children, Isaac, Lily, and Frank. On their farm, they have many fruits, vegetables, and animals that they raise for food and fiber. So please welcome Patricia.
Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm so happy to join you today from a little room up here in our farmhouse. The weather is beautiful outside today, and I can't wait to show you everything that we do on our farm, or some of the things we do, because we don't have enough time to show you everything.
We wish you did have enough time, Patricia. We can't wait to learn more about it. But before we begin, I want to remind our participants of some of the components that go along with the Great Canadian Farm Tour. So we are excited to provide participants with the Great Canadian Farm Tour activity book. So each page in the activity book has corresponds to one of the farm tours that we will be doing, and there's lots of activities for students to complete in this book. Also, throughout the tours, there's going to be 3 video learning breaks. The first 2 are called brain breaks, and this is where you will find the answers to the brain break questions in your activity book. At the end, there will be a job spotlight video where we learn about an exciting career in the agriculture industry. The last page of the activity book is the Great Canadian Farm Tour Passport. So make sure you're watching the tour closely so that you don't miss the mystery word that's going to pop up at some point on the screen. You can write this word in your passport beside the province of Nova Scotia and also add the word to the mystery sentence at the bottom of the passport. Lastly, we've already received some amazing entries to the Great Canadian Farm Tour contest. We'll show some entries here. So fun to see you all participating in the tour and using your activity books. Teachers, don't forget you can enter the contest for a chance to win a prize pack for your classroom. All you have to do is upload a photo of your class participating and make sure you use the hashtag GCFT22contest. Okay, time to start the tour.
Yes, so Patricia, just from your introduction alone, we heard that you grow lots of different fruits and vegetables on your farm. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you grow?
I sure can, Morgan. So many years ago on our farm, we started growing zucchini and squash and corn, and we also had some apples. But over the years, we've decided that we're going to listen to what customers say, and they tell us they want to have carrots and peas and beans and grape tomatoes and peppers. Some people really love radishes and they like lettuce. So we grow all those sorts of things now, and cucumbers too. We also have some apple trees, like I just said, but sweet cherry trees and blueberry bushes that we have on our farm. And we raise some animals as well. So all kinds of fruits and vegetables and other products that we'll talk about a little later in the show.
Perfect. It sounds like you grow almost every fruit and vegetable I can think of, Patricia.
Yes, we do. We try to provide as many vegetables and fruits for people as possible. I forgot to mention that we have strawberries. And in the summertime, when it's strawberry season, it's really delicious to walk out into the strawberry patch and pick a fresh strawberry to eat it. And we really love inviting people to come to our farm and do that.
Wow. Sounds like so much fun.
One of the,
Yeah.
I was just going to also say that on our farm, I don't know how many of the people who are watching enjoy eating blueberries, but if you enjoy eating blueberries, you are not alone. There are also a whole lot of birds that love to eat blueberries. And so one of the things that we do on our farm, birds also really like sweet cherries. Pretty much anything that you really love, birds also really love. So we have these tools on our farm that help us keep the birds from eating all of the cherries and the blueberries. And those tools are called sound makers, and they make the sounds of predator birds. And they make big, loud sounds of predator birds, and it scares all the other birds away that are eating the blueberries. So we have some for you.
Wow. Well, that's an amazing technology that you use on your farm. Do those sounds scare the animals on your farm, or do they only scare the birds away that you don't want?
The sounds scare the birds, and sometimes they scare the people too, because they come at random times. So all of a sudden it'll be a and it'll scare the birds and it'll scare me.
Very interesting. Okay, we're going to watch a video. We're going to meet Patricia's son, Frank, and we're going to learn about how how they start planting their seeds so that these beautiful fruits and vegetables can grow.
Don't you think it's kind of crazy that a carrot like this can come from such a small seed like this? Well, believe it or not, lots of vegetables we eat come from seeds this small or smaller. Some come from bigger seeds, and some, like potatoes, actually are the seeds. They're kind of mysterious. It's pretty hard to tell what plant comes from which seed. Like carrots, they don't look anything like their seeds. In fact, vegetable seeds come in many shapes, colors, and sizes. If you plant a vegetable seed properly, they sprout and grow into plants, which grow our food. You can't just drop a seed on your desk and watch it grow into a vegetable. But that would make things a lot easier for farmers, don't you think? Seeds have to be planted, usually in soil. Then they need water and warmth to germinate or sprout. Once they sprout, they need light and water to grow. My mom Patricia is probably one of the most knowledgeable people around when it comes to planting. Let's go ask her how things are done. Hey Mom, can you show my friends what you're planting in the greenhouse today?
Yeah, sure, Frank. We have kale and lettuce and onions. And over here we've got some rutabaga, all kinds of things.
Why don't we wait until it's warmer outside to plant these?
Well, Frank, in Nova Scotia, it gets really cold in the wintertime, and we have a short growing season in the summer. So in order for us to have lots of vegetables to eat, we start them in the greenhouse, and then they get nice and big and strong, and then in May we can transplant them out so we can get vegetables in June, July, August, and September.
Hey Mom, can you show my friends how you plant the seeds?
I sure can. So we take a tray, we fill it with soil, and then we make little indents in each of the cells where we're going to put the seed. We set the seed down just a little tiny bit below the soil, we cover it over, and then we water it. And that's how we do it, over and over and over again.
How warm does it have to be to get these to grow?
Frank, the greenhouse needs to stay nice and warm so that all the seeds can germinate. So we keep our greenhouse at 80 degrees. It's so warm in here that you could wear your t-shirt in the middle of the winter. And with the water and the sun and the heat, the seeds germinate.
Do you plant the whole greenhouse like this?
Yes, we do. We have a couple of people who work all the time in the spring at seeding the trays. We use our hands to put each seed into the cells and cover the seeds up with soil and set them out in the greenhouse by hand. And so this is just how we do how we grow all the transplants for our farm.
When can they go in the ground? And how big do they have to be to go in the ground?
It depends on the vegetable. So some vegetables need to grow for a long time in the greenhouse, and some vegetables can grow for a short time in the greenhouse. So for example, celeriac or rutabaga, they stay in the greenhouse for a long time. Things like lettuce, they stay in the greenhouse for a short period of time. And some of the transplants, some of the vegetables will be very big when they go out in the ground, and some will be really small. It just depends.
How many of these do you do?
On our farm, Frank, we grow 1,200 trays of vegetables, which represents 240,000 plants.
Whoa, that's a lot of food. I love living on a farm. Maybe this summer you could come visit a farm too.
Wow, 240,000 plants. That's a lot.
That is a lot, yeah.
And each and every one of them has to be seeded.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're going to be following these seeds' journey throughout its life cycle during the rest of this tour. But first, I just want to remind everyone that if you ever have any questions for Patricia, don't forget to ask them in the chat because we want her to answer any questions that you have. Now, we're going to jump into our first brain break of the day.
Brain break. Did you know? Blueberries are the most common fruit crop grown in Nova Scotia. Wild blueberries grow naturally in Nova Scotia and other maritime provinces. Thanks for learning with us.
So blueberries are such a delicious fruit, and we've already learned from Patricia that she grows them on her farm. So now let us watch the next video and learn what happens to the seeds after they get planted in the greenhouse.
Wow, just look at these plants. They've gotten really big. Remember how small the little seeds were? Look at how the different plants are different sizes. This lettuce is from the seeds we planted with my mom. Can you tell which plant is which? Can you tell what plant came from which seed? If you can't, don't worry. Farmers can always tell. Besides, they've been practicing for years. If you practice, you'll be able to get it every time. Once seeds sprout and are growing like these, they're called seedlings. And you know what? They're ready to be planted outdoors on the farm. You're gonna love this part. Hey, Dad.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, guys. This is my dad, Josh. I think he's one of the hardest working people on the farm. Hey, Dad, do you know what's happening in this field?
Well, we just finished planting some vegetables. Can you tell me which vegetable it is?
Lettuce, I think.
Lettuce, very good.
What's the black stuff over the lettuce?
The black stuff is landscape fabric. And we use landscape fabric to help control the weeds. It does a really good job for that, and it also helps to retain the moisture that we do get from Mother Nature.
How long will it take to grow?
It should take them about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. There is a maturity date on the seed package that we follow, and then when the time comes, we start walking the field, and when they're big and beautiful, we will pick them.
Do you water them, and how would you take care of them?
Well, first we put them in the ground, and then we watch that there's no bugs come and get them, or pests, even like a deer. And then we'll just watch the rainfall, what Mother Nature gives us. And then if we don't get enough from the rain, then we will turn on the irrigation.
How many times a year would you plant the lettuce?
Well, so we have a constant supply of lettuce, Frank. We'll plant about 8 to 10 times.
How big will these get?
Well, there's a couple different varieties in here, Frank. There's romaine lettuce, and romaine lettuce will kind of get, this big by this big. There's leaf lettuce, and they are also around about this size, and we try to get them so they're about 1.5 pounds. And then the other lettuce is kind of like a leaf lettuce that we take the leaves off of, and that's called Salanova, and it only gets about this big, about as big as a bowling ball.
How do you know when it's ready to pick?
Well, we sort of know by days of maturity when it's ready to pick. And also we come down and walk the lettuce as it's growing, and once it gets to a nice size and ready to eat, we will pick it.
Man, I can't wait to eat some.
Fantastic video. Seems like there's always something to do on your farm, Patricia, and lots of hands-on work, but how interesting to see the whole process. It's still going. We're not done the videos yet, but it's so interesting to see the process from the seed on. So that's great. So we've talked a little bit now about some of your crops, but can you tell us about what you do with them once they're grown and how you sell them to the public?
Yeah, sure I can. Yes, so as you see, we do have all kinds of different vegetables, and that's what we do. Josh and I and all of the people who work on our farm, our whole job every single day is to grow food. That's how we make our living. So it is really important that we know how we're going to sell that food and where we're going to sell that food so that we're able to make an income, make a living for all of ourselves. So there's 2 important things we do. One is to make a living for ourselves, and the other is to make sure that we grow good food for ourselves and for others. So we sell our vegetables in a bunch of different places. The first one is that we have something called community shared agriculture. So that's when a family or an individual comes to the farm and says, I'd really like to get your vegetables, or I'd like to get your eggs, or I'd like to get the meat from your farm. And they join our farm and become a member of our farm, and they get to know who we are really well, and they get to come to the farm, and they get to come tour, and they just are they're a participant in what we're doing on growing what we're growing and what we're doing on our farm. And so those CSA members join, and then every week we harvest and we package and we deliver food to our CSA members. That's one way that we are sharing our food with people. And the other way is that we have farmers markets that we go to. So on Saturdays, actually my dad is the one that goes to the farmers market. He goes with his apples and he takes our vegetables, and he has a table at 3 different farmers markets actually in the city of Halifax. And people come to the farmers market and buy their vegetables for the week. And then the other way we sell our vegetables is through markets that are open all the time, like a store, like a market store, a farm market store, and it's open every day of the week. And we have our vegetables in those market stores as well. So those are 3 of the ways that we sell our vegetables from our farm. And they're really, really important ways for us to sell our vegetables, because if we didn't have them, then we wouldn't have jobs as being farmers. So it's really important that we have a way to sell our veggies that we grow on our farm.
That's great. I know we have a local CSA in our community, and they're definitely a big element in our town. But it also sounds, the CSA in the market's like a great way to connect with your community members and to educate about how their food is grown, and what a great way for them to be able to eat local. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Sometimes, if I can just add, what's really great is if people are able to get to the farm, then they're able to come and participate in different activities. So sometimes we'll have a garlic harvest event where families will come and help us harvest garlic. And sometimes we'll have lots of grape tomatoes growing in the tunnels. And so we'll invite families to come and they can harvest some grape tomatoes. So there's different things that happen at different times of the year that families can come and do on the farm.
That's amazing. So it looks like we have time for a question now. We're going to pull one from the chat. So from Natasha, how long does it take for a carrot to grow? And she is from Temptation Academy Meadows.
That's a great question. Thank you for the question. Well, for different vegetables, it takes different amounts of time. And there are also different varieties of carrots. And some varieties of carrots grow really quickly and are mature and ready to harvest sooner. And some carrots take longer and take a little bit longer to mature and be ready for harvest. So it depends on the variety of carrot. But for sure, you can harvest a carrot in around 70 or 80 days. Some of them are a little bit longer, but that's when you for sure can be harvesting some carrots.
Amazing. I eat a lot of carrots in a day, so that could be a long wait for me, but it's great to have producers like yourself to grow them.
But you can harvest carrots sooner than that if you want to have little tiny itty bitty carrots, and they're very delicious too.
Perfect. Good to know. So now it looks like it's time for our second brain break. So listen closely, everyone, and record the correct answer in your activity book.
Brain break. Did you know Taproot Farms offers a community shared agriculture program? Community members can purchase CSA memberships to receive food boxes that include vegetables, meat, fruit, and eggs. Thanks for learning with us.
Okay, and we're back. And oh, what is that? That's today's mystery word. So today we're in Nova Scotia. Make sure you write down the word food beside this province on your passport, and also add it to the mystery sentence at the bottom. You should now have about 5 clues revealed in your mystery sentence. Okay, so now we've seen the seeds being planted in the greenhouse. We've seen these little seedlings being transplanted into the field. Now we're going to watch the last video and see what happens when this lettuce is ready to be harvested.
I can't believe it's harvest time already. You know what that means, don't you? It means it's time to pick our vegetables. These fields look awesome. Everything grew so much. This field is filled with potatoes. I know it's hard to tell because the actual potato is grown underground. Can you tell what this crop is? Would you believe that these plants grew from a seed just like this? Can you guess by looking at the seed? If you guessed corn, maybe you should look into being a farmer. Wow, just look at these zucchinis. This is the time of year where farmers sell their produce to grocery stores and farm markets all across Nova Scotia. Even our farm has a stall where you can drop in and buy some groceries. If you're out grocery shopping, look for this logo to find food that's grown in Nova Scotia. Hey, I think I see my dad over there. Let's go see what he's up to. Hey Dad, these crops look amazing.
Hey, thanks, Frank.
When do you think they'll be ready to be harvested?
Well, we just started actually picking today for the farm market.
I know some crops grow better in different weather. How did the crops this year go?
The weather was actually quite good, Frank. We had some good rains, and we've been enjoying some great heat. And most plants love the heat, especially corn, for those corn boils.
Where do the veggies go when they leave the field?
Well, they go over to our farm markets, and also they go to other farm markets around the province. We kind of wholesale to them. And we also have a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, where people actually get a box of food from us every week.
They're really big. They look good.
Thanks.
It's a good thing you grow so many.
Yeah, we try to make sure that we have lettuce 8 months of the year, so we're planting and seeding and weeding and picking lettuce all of that time.
It takes a really long time from when you plant a seed to when you get to pick it.
Yes, it can take a long time, up to 100 days for Brussels sprouts.
Well, I think it's worth it. Lots of the foods you eat are grown right here on Nova Scotia farms, like carrots, potatoes, broccoli, and many more.
It must be so great seeing the crops fully grown after all of the work and time that goes into planting them. So that's a great full circle video for us to watch. Also, after this, I'm going to have to say, now I feel like a nice salad for lunch after watching the lettuce and the vegetables from your videos. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yes, fresh lettuce in March it would be a real treat.
Absolutely, sure would. So now that we've learned about the different fruits and vegetables that you grow on your farm, can you take us into a little bit about what kind of animals you have?
Yeah, sure I can. Yes, we have a whole bunch of different animals on our farm. And a number of years ago, we introduced 2 pigs to our farm. And the reason that we introduced those 2 pigs to our farm is because we wanted to have pigs on the farm to help us have fertility, to help us have the nutrients that the soil needs to be able to grow great crops. And also because pigs are really good at using their big, strong snouts to dig up the soil. So if you keep a pig in a little space with a fence, it will root around in the soil and get all of the good stuff to eat out of that soil. And then you can go in afterwards and you can plant your crops in the field. So I wanted to get pigs on our farm so they could till the soil and they could give us fertility. But also pigs are really great at providing us with meat to eat as well. So we have pigs we keep to till, and then we have some pigs also that we kill to have for meat. So on our farm, the pigs live outside. So you just saw a picture on your screen, I think, of some pigs. Those pigs live outside in a pasture like that all the time. And they have little huts made out of straw and wood, and they live in those little huts all the time, year round. And they just walk about and do their business, and they till the soil, and they're very, very helpful on the farm. So we have a whole bunch of pigs, probably, I don't know, maybe 50 pigs right now. And then we also have chickens. And we have chickens on our farm only for a short period of time in the year because we have something called free range chickens. So that means that they live outside on the grass and they don't like being in the cold. So chickens don't like to be outside in March, but chickens do like to be outside in June, July, and August and into September. And so in those months, we will have chickens outside in their little tunnels. They have a little roof over them, and they run around. And then when they're old enough, then they go to the slaughterhouse, and they are used for chicken meat. And then we have also some hens. So we have chickens that are hens that lay eggs, and those chickens stay with us year round. And they have a nice little place where they live, and they go run inside and outside. They don't really like going outside when it's a blizzard, but they do like going outside even on cold days when it's a nice winter day. Just like we all like to go outside on a nice winter day, the chickens do too. And so they lay eggs for us, and we are then able to have eggs each week, each day from our chickens. And that's what we do with our hens. Let me see, what other animals do we have? Oh, goats. We have goats, and the goats are used for fertility as well, and then also for goat meat. And we have sheep that we use for wool. And the reason that we have the sheep for wool is so that we can spin the wool, so that we can make sweaters and scarves and all kinds of craft things with wool. So we use it for clothing, and we also use it for other activities that people like to do with wool. And then we have some cows. And the cows are also really important because when they walk along in the pasture on the fields, their hooves go down into the soil and they create aeration. So aeration means that they make little holes in the soil and then let air get into the soil. And that's really, really beneficial. And they also poop. And when they poop, just like the goats and the pigs and the chickens, the poop goes down into the soil and it works its way in, and it helps to build up really good nutrients. And those nutrients are excellent for helping our vegetables grow really, really, really well. And let me see, what other animals do we have? Any more? I don't think so. I think that's probably about it.
Yeah, you touched on so many animals, and it's so interesting that the animals help the fruit and vegetables to grow. It's kind of like a constant cycle on your farm, it sounds like.
Yes, everything works very much together to be able to grow good food, all kinds of different foods. Yes.
Yeah, very interesting. So we're now going to watch our job spotlight and learn about another interesting career in agriculture.
Job Spotlight, powered by ThinkAg.
Social media strategists help companies tell their story on social media. What do social media strategists do? I plan social media posts to help a company advertise their products and services. I answer questions and talk to the public through direct messages and comments. I stay up to date with current trends on social media to stay exciting and relevant.
Okay, now we've come to the question and answer period. Morgan, do you want to give us a little rundown on why social media strategists are important in agriculture?
Absolutely. So like any industry, social media is fantastic to be able to have people connect with their customers. So Patricia mentioned that she goes to farmers markets and they have their CSA programs. So I'm sure you probably utilize social media to let people know of where you're going to be and what you have available. So all businesses, especially farmers, utilize social media to be able to connect with people like you, everyone watching. So I'm sure you utilize social media quite a bit, Patricia.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm just trying to learn TikTok. I'm not that great at it yet, but yes, we do.
Yeah, well, maybe that's something Frank can help you with. It's nice to have you here, Frank, our movie star from the videos.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, so we're going to ask Patricia and Frank some questions that are coming in. I'm going to start with this one. So do you collect all the vegetables by hand, or do you need machinery to collect them?
We do a lot of hand collection on our farm, but we do have some machinery that can help us with some things. So for example, with potatoes, you have to dig potatoes. So you either need to use like a fork or a shovel and dig down. A fork is best so that you can let the soil fall through the fork, but you need to use a fork and then a bucket and collect your potatoes. Or you can use a piece of machinery that you can drag behind the tractor that will lift the potatoes up and out of the ground. And then what we do on our farm is we go along and we pick up the potatoes from the soil. So they get pulled, they get turned over and up, and then we collect them. There is some machinery though that you can use for potatoes that would harvest would bring the whole thing in. It would turn it up the potatoes, and it would also conveyor the potatoes into a truck. But we don't have that. So we have a combination of machinery and handwork, but a lot of handwork on our farm. On our farm, I always say that we are investing in the people's hands and the people doing the work, and less on the machinery. But it is a balance, and we try to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, so you all must be pretty strong pulling all those vegetables and using your hands all the time.
Yes, yes.
All right, so the next question here, what is your favorite part of your job?
What is the favorite part of my job of growing food, being a farmer? Oh my goodness, there's so many favorite parts. I think probably my most favorite part is when we have the food harvested and we see people smiling and being excited by the food that they are receiving from the farm. I think that's my favorite part. The part where, like, if a person just like you comes to get their food and they're excited by what they have and what has been grown on the farm for them, that is my most favorite part.
How about you, Frank? What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is probably like knowing that you're feeding people with the food you make, like knowing that you're helping people.
Absolutely. You're making a big difference, especially in your community.
Okay, our next question here. What is your favorite food that you grow on your farm? So both of you can answer this.
My favorite food is probably carrots. I love carrots. I've always loved carrots.
Is that why you decided to start with that in the video, showing the carrot and the carrot seed?
Yeah.
Very cool.
My favorite food is cabbage.
There's so many ways you can eat cabbage. Yeah, so good.
Okay, so next question. How many potatoes grow from one potato?
That's another great question. Oh, I think maybe about 5 or 6, maybe. Depends. Some plants have more and some plants have less, but I'm gonna just make a guess about 5 or 6.
Average, yeah, perfect.
Anybody who grows potatoes and only grows potatoes and knows a lot more about potatoes might say that I'm wrong, but I think it's about 4 or 5 or 6.
Perfect.
Okay, about how many animals do you have all together?
We can see you counting in your heads.
I think probably depends on the time of year, because in the summertime we have lots of chickens that we don't have in the wintertime. So in the wintertime, I would say we have 100 animals. We have 30 sheep and we have 50 pigs. Oh, and 30 goats. So that's more than 100. Then we have 200 chickens. Okay. We have many. Let's say between 300 and 600 animals.
Wow.
All right. Next question. What is the biggest challenge about farming?
The biggest challenge about farming. Oh, you are all ants asking very hard questions. I would say that probably one of the biggest challenges is to sell our food. So when we grow food, we are growing it to make a living, but at the same time, we love growing something that we all need. And so we don't want to have to ask people to pay a lot of money for it. And we want everyone to be able to access that food. So we want everybody to be able to get the tomato if they want the tomato. But the problem is that it costs money to grow that tomato. And so then we have to say the tomato is $2. And then if somebody doesn't have $2 to pay for that tomato, then that's really hard. So I think probably the biggest challenge for me about farming is the role that we have as growing food as a community service, and then the role that we have as being farmers where we have to make a living, and trying to make all those things work at the same time. That's the biggest challenge, I think, for me, because I would really like to grow a tomato and I would like to be able to give those tomatoes to everybody who wants them and not have to worry about the money.
Wouldn't that be just fantastic?
What about you, Frank?
For me is probably the same as Trish, or the labor part. For me, I really don't like having to go and help pick or help weed anything.
Yeah. Especially because that's normally in like the hot summer months, right?
Yeah.
So
it's
probably
really
a lot
tiring.
of long days.
Makes sense. Okay, this will be our last question. So where do you get your animals?
Well, our pigs, we got our first couple of pigs from a community farm down the street. And then also one of them came from New Brunswick. And then from there, we started having babies. And so we started having all of our own pigs on our farm. And our chickens, each year we get those from a hatchery that's here in our community. And our sheep, we bought our first sheep actually from a 4-H show. It was someone's market lamb, and we bought it, but we kept it for many, many, many years. And then we've also just purchased some sheep from some of our neighbors and friends who have been not going to keep sheep anymore. We just have been purchasing them. So we do some research and see what we can find. And often on our farm, animals sort of come to us, like the sheep, for example, sort of came to us, and the goats too. And then they become a part of what we do on the farm.
Wow, so they kind of join from all over and become a part of
But where we also can get them is you can do research and find where there are breeders, and you can buy purebred animals from different breeders in Canada to have on your farm. And we also do a little bit of that as well.
Okay, so you can kind of shop around for the animals that you want on your farm.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so our question and answer time is over. Sorry we didn't get to everyone's questions. There were so many good ones coming in. You can also check out Taproot Farm's website. So on the website, you might find some answers to some of the questions that you were asking.
This tour just went by so quickly, but thank you so much, Patricia and Frank, for your time this morning and for giving us an inside look through your videos of what you do and how busy you are and how you share your products with your community. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for what you do in your community.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking us to be here today.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. And thank you, Morgan, for co-hosting with me. It was really fun to have you along on this tour in Nova Scotia.
Yes, thank you, Colleen. Like I said at the beginning, it was so nice to be on this side of the tour. So thank you so much for joining or having me join you today.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us on the 5th stop of the Great Canadian Farm Tour. I can't believe we're almost halfway through. Our next stop is going to be on a seed farm, and we're going to head to Manitoba to see this farm. As a final reminder to teachers, do not forget about our social media contest. You can post photos of your class participating in the Great Canadian Farm Tour, and just make sure that you use the hashtag GCFT22 contest. Also, we hope you're using your activity book and your passports, and that you've recorded the 5th clue of the mystery sentence in your passport. If you missed it, here it is one more time. As a final reminder, all of these tours are being recorded, and you can always watch them again on YouTube. We'll see you next week in Manitoba.